You know, when you hear the word economics, your mind probably jumps to stocks or taxes or maybe just money. And look, you're not wrong, but that's not the whole picture, not even close. At its heart, economics is really the study of one single powerful human behavior, choice. It's a way of thinking that explains why we do the things we do, from the tiniest daily decisions to the huge shifts that shape our world. And sometimes those choices can seem, well, pretty baffling. I mean, think about this for a second. A bank could install a special protective shield to stop robberies. It costs 20 grand. But they don't do it. So why on earth would they basically choose to get robbed instead? It sounds completely crazy, but I promise you, there's a cold, hard logic behind it.
Or hey, how about something a little closer to home? It's late, you're exhausted, you know you need to sleep, but Netflix is already counting down to the next episode. That little moment, that decision to either watch one more or turn it off, that's a classic economic problem right there.
And it happens in the business world, too. Imagine you're a music producer. You have a choice. Do you spend a ton of money finding and hiring a truly amazing, naturally gifted singer? Or do you just hire a mediocre one and fix all their mistakes with technology, like auto-tune? A bank, your Netflix habit, and a music producer. As different as all these puzzles sound, they all unlock with the very same key. It's a single, fundamental idea that is the absolute starting point for all of economics. And that idea is called scarcity. Now, this isn't just about, running out of something. It's the one big problem that forces every single one of us and our entire society to make choices in the first place. To put it as simply as possible, we just can't have everything we want. It's a tough pill to swallow, but there just isn't enough time, money, or, well, stuff in the world to satisfy every single one of our desires. And because of that, we are forced every day to do one thing: choose. So the official definition economists use is this: scarcity is what happens when our unlimited wants slam right into our limited resources. This one single conflict, well, that's what gives birth to the entire field of economics. Okay, so if scarcity forces us to make choices, how do we even begin to make sense of it all? Well, economists use what you can think of as a toolkit, a set of 3 core ideas to understand and even predict how people are going to behave when they're faced with these limits. So at the very heart of this toolkit are 3 big assumptions. First, that people are generally rational. Second, that we all respond to incentives. And third, that the best decisions we make are made at the margin. Let's break down what that actually means. First step, people are rational. Now, this doesn't mean we're all walking supercomputers or that we never make mistakes. It just means that we use information to make choices that we think will make us as well off as possible. You're not going to pay $5 for a coffee unless you believe the happiness you get from it is worth more than that $5. It's a simple cost-benefit calculation we're doing all the time. Second, and oh man, this is a big one, people respond to incentives. Incentives are basically just the rewards and punishments that shape what we do. When the costs or the benefits of something change, you can bet our actions are probably going to change too. And this idea brings us right back to our bank robbery puzzle. Let's just look at the raw numbers here. That bandit shield, it costs a whopping $20,000. But the average loss from a typical robbery is only about $1,200. And on top of that, these robberies are pretty rare. So from a purely financial point of view, the incentive is crystal clear. It is way cheaper to just deal with the occasional loss than to pay for that expensive shield. It feels wrong, but it's a perfectly rational economic choice. The final tool in the kit is thinking at the margin. See, most of our decisions aren't these huge all-or-nothing choices. They're usually about doing just a little more or a little less of something. The question isn't, should I ever study? It's, should I study for 1 more hour tonight? And that brings us right back to Netflix. When you're binge watching, you're not deciding whether to cancel your subscription forever. No, you're just deciding on 1 more episode. You're weighing the marginal benefit, finding out what happens next, against the marginal cost, being a total zombie tomorrow. That is a marginal decision in a nutshell. Okay, so that's the toolkit for how individuals make choices. But what happens when you scale all of this up? Well, these exact same principles help us understand how entire societies work, because every single society has to answer 3 fundamental questions that all come from that one core problem: scarcity. These are the big 3. What stuff are we going to make?
How are we going to make it, and who actually gets to have all the stuff we make? It doesn't matter if you're talking about a free market or a communist state, every society has to figure this out.
So to answer that first question, what to produce, societies have to make what are called trade-offs. Because our resources are scarce, right? Producing more of one thing automatically means we have to produce less of something else. Economists have a great name for this: opportunity cost. The real cost of anything is the next best alternative you had to give up to get it.
So think about a classic societal trade-off. A government decides to increase funding for healthcare. Sounds great, right? But that money has to come from somewhere. The opportunity cost might be fewer university scholarships for students. It's a hard choice, and it just goes to show you, in economics, there's really no such thing as a free lunch.
Now, over time, societies have come up with two main systems for answering these three big questions. You have market economies, where the decisions of millions of individual people pretty much determine the answers, and then you have centrally planned economies, where the government makes all the big calls. In reality, most countries today are actually mixed economies, blending a little bit of both. So when you start to put all of this together, scarcity, incentives, marginal thinking, trade-offs, you don't just get a dry subject from a textbook. What you really get is a completely new lens, a new way of looking at the world. And that's what it all comes down to. Economics is the study of the choices everyone makes. You, me, CEOs, presidents, as we all try to deal with scarcity. It's really the story of how we as humans try to make the best use of what little we have. And the goal of this isn't to just give you a bunch of answers. It's to hand you that powerful toolkit we've been talking about so you can start asking better, sharper questions about the world around you and about the choices you see people making every single day. Which really brings us to one last thought. Now that you have this basic toolkit for economic thinking, what choices out there, your own or the ones you see in the news, are you going to start seeing in a completely new light?